Good morning.
Hello and welcome wherever in the world you are calling in from. This is the New York session, so afternoon over here in Europe and morning if you are in across the pond, as we say. So let's just start sharing screen. Wrong one. Over here, so we've got non-farm payroll, biggest monthly event in the Forex calendar on Friday, so the market does tend to tighten up a bit during that time. Let me just in my picture, I've just missed the candle, so let's have a look what it's doing on the 5-minute as we have got to 2 p.m. London. So you can see it's just come off this hourly. That's that dotted line, which is a strong line of support, and it's bust its way through the white line, which are the lines we physically put on, which is the daily, and it's reversing what's happened in London. So it's come up here, it's broken that hourly, it's retested. You can see that what we call an indecision candle, the little retrace at 5 to the hour, and then it's come up. So we know our support line is 555, and it's on the 5-minute, it's reached up to 623. And you can see this 200 moving average is now moving down, and also very nicely, if I put my cursor over it, it's exactly on the daily, and that is holding it like a floor. So it's in this little range, and when, as Les explained this morning, when price hits major levels, and we call these longer time frames major levels, then it doesn't mean the move isn't going to happen. It just means it's going to struggle a little bit on the lower time frames to break through. And you know, you can see that if you do replays and just have a look, go to the lower time frames and just you can enlarge it, and you can just have a look and see how long, you know, I think Les said this morning it can be 10 or 11 touches before price can move away from one of the major levels. And we can also see this is a shorter moving average, but that's now curling up as well. So if we come out to the hourly, this was me marking up the Asian range this morning, and as we came into London, that's 8 a.m. London time, 9 a.m. my time in Paris, it did a big sell candle, and it whipped 3 times on the hourly, off on the daily, and that quarter point, which is another very strong psychological line of support resistance at the 72250 mark. And as we came to 1 p.m. London time, and you can see yellow is London, how it moved up, and there is the 1 p.m. London, just at the open of New York, and here we are on the next hourly candle. So it's now reversing it moved, all the moves that it made this morning. So that's what we're looking at. But you can also note this pattern on the hourly, that it's formed an M shape. So it's come back and tested that upper level at 73,000, which is 1,000 pip range. If you look up quarter theory, very, very strong level. And it hit that in New York yesterday. And it's been dropping since then. So if you came down to look, say, at the 4 hourly, we're not swing traders, we don't trade right out in this range, but you will see on the longer term that actually it's still in a downward trend. If you drew a trend line, it would pick up enough points to say the Australian dollar is still declining, but we're right down the rabbit hole in the 5-minute, 3-minute time frames. But it's useful to know the overall trend, because once you spot these patterns, you know, you can get caught out when price is in transition, and that's why we try to be disciplined and stick to the times that we trade, and also within the hour when we take the trades as well. And that's something that you'll get, as Les said this morning, when you've got your eye in through experience, and also reduce the number of pairs that you trade. And as most people know, my favorite pair currently is this Australian dollar, US dollar. So for those of you who are new and just joining us, welcome. First of all, follow the same routine. It's the same thing as if you're going into work. This is our job and you'll get paid accordingly. So have a look at your Forex factory. We're on the 6th of October. There's non-farm payroll, all those red, Canadian as well, all on the same day on Friday. Thursday, a little bit more Canadian, but no figures against it. And another bank holiday for China. They seem to be on holiday all this week. Must be some kind of feast. So today we had New Zealand dollar, that didn't affect us, and at 2:15, that's my time. So I think we've just had that. I haven't refreshed that for ages. Actually, let me just save the settings. You can pull this window up to the top. Let's go back. Just go to your little house, little home up there. And here we are on Wednesday. So 2:15 my time, 1:15 UK time, 2:15. So we're okay now. That's been and gone. Wednesday, 6th. Double check what you're doing. And it was 3:40. So the actual, so that's very positive for the US dollar. Now, the bankers and the whales and the big hedge fund managers and the people that literally move the markets with their squillions and squillions, they can do what they like. So just because you see a good figure, if they wanted to manipulate the market and drive it a particular way, for example, sell to buy, we call it, or buy to sell, or puts for a sell in our binary trading and calls for a buy, then they can move the market how they like, but that actually says it's positive for the US dollar. So theoretically, on our analysis, this is market sentiment, we would be looking at that pushing down the Australian dollar. It's one of the major Forex pairs, and it will move the opposite way, obviously, to the US dollar, and that's the base currency I want to be looking at. So that's Forex Factory. Then I come over to this currency strength meter, and you can get an app to download on your phone. We've got 3 bars on the US dollar here. I have noticed actually that the correlation has not been exact between what I've been reading here. And again, Les mentioned this morning about how the Australian dollar has been moving. I worked it differently according to what I saw here, and it was just the way the market was yesterday. But again, you'll get that intuition the more you practice, and that's why we say take 100 demo trades. I mean, when I've changed systems, I've sat here and I think I took 85 in one day on demo to learn a new system. I only stopped because it was about 5 p.m. my time and the dog was desperate for a walk. But I've got 3 bars on the US. So that from that you'll learn patterns and you'll learn the confidence in this binary trading. So trustthetrade.com is the Al calls it, and to be able to press that button. So we're coming up to the 15 minutes past, which is when I would take my next trade. So I've got 3 on the US dollar and I've got 5 on the Australian dollar. So I'm now going to come over to HourGlass, which is the scanner I like. Again, Les this morning was looking at 1 or 2 of the other scanners, Liberty and Webstinger, to confirm the sells on the Aussie, as we call it. The Australian dollar is called the Aussie. That's not working. I just use HourGlass. I'm going to log in again. So as part of this package, you'll have a number of strategies. Just come over to the left, and there's also a very good academy in here, and Pip Talk. I haven't been in Pip Talk for a while, where the traders who educate us, where they chat. Here's our 3 scanners, Liberty and HourGlass, I can go into. So, and I do often refresh this as well because it can glitch a bit. So I use the little circle top left. So never assume, you know, check you're on the correct currency pair, check you're on the correct time frame, check that you've looked at the correct date on Forex Factory. You know, it's like starting up the car, you know, check you've got all your instruments up and running correctly. So here we are, Australian dollar, US dollar. It says 54 Australian dollar to 46. So that is in line with the currency strength meter. It was a call at 72,600. So what can we read off this chart? We can read that our red EMA, exponential moving average, is now turned to green, acting as a floor, and it's above our black midline on these Bollinger Bands. So we want to be taking calls, and it's round about, that midline was round about 72,600, and it's at 613. And then these little red lines are pivots. We use an indicator to look at those. So we're up in the overbought area, and on our relative strength index, we're above the 50% line, and we're above the green line, which means we should only be taking calls. That also, sometimes I haven't been refreshing the time because it used to make the screen glitch, but it does seem to be okay now. But if you're UK, you'll be UTC +1. So I like to check the time where I am. So now I know what I'm doing. I'm actually would like a little pullback, and I'm going to go to trading view now. 594 is that red pivot there, which was a ceiling, which will then become a floor, because that's how price moves. If you look at the waves, you do get these big engulfing candles. So what time was that one, for example? That was at 9 a.m, 6th of October. So that's 8 a.m. So that's the London-Tokyo expansion. That's okay if you could just mute yourself. So I'm going to now come over to my trading view, and I'm on the 5 minute. We've got 3 minutes to go before the 15 minutes. So I'm just going to come out to the daily, just check my lines. I did look at them earlier. My white lines are my daily. They're the only ones I have to draw on. So if I just hide that there, I can, you can also use this if you want to be that precise. So that will give you, you can just tighten them up. You just want the current and the previous, but you can see they're a little bit off. So it's nice to have everything precise. It gives you much more feeling of confidence. That was, that's that one. So this needs pulling up a little bit there. And then this is the current sell on the daily. So we don't mark this. You saw it move just there because it's active. It can shrink back up, or it can push on down. So there's no point in putting a daily line there. This white one tells me from that day before yesterday that when price gets down to 72567, that it will probably struggle at that level, because behind it I can see that there is a line behind it as well, and then it's got this quarter point +2 dailies, so a very, very strong area of support and resistance. So once we've done the daily, I usually keep the magnet on, but if I do make a mistake and accidentally grab a line I don't want, you can just use that left back arrow and it will undo your last action. So I'm going to come down to the hourly now. This is where we use these indicators. It's called levels. And that shows me that it is, it's pushed up off that 557. 570 level and down to the 15 minute where I can put a line. So it's just, can you see how it's used that line at 555? It's right on my 62 moving average, but it's struggling a bit because of 568, which is the daily. So it's pushed up, come back down at 1/4 to, this is the 15 minute, and it has pushed up here from the hour to the 1/4 past. So at the moment we only want to be taking calls, and I'm on the 15 minute. I'm just going to put a couple of lines on there, And I'll change that to purple just to show me where the top of the previous, because it was a buy, that means it was the highest that it probed up there. And it's on a little line there. And then if I clone that, I can just put one down here just to remind me. Oh, so it's all happening around that little zone there. We've got a 15-minute, I've got my 62 moving average, and I've got a daily at that 569. So now I know where my range is, and you can see the blue moving average. This is further out. This is like ripples in a pond. So your nearest time frame is your nearest to your current moment in time, which would be the 1 minute. Everything's happening on the 1 minute and then radiating out. So if we're now on the 5 minute, we can see it is just stalling out at this level now. Often, as Les said as well, you know, we found with this strong pair that it will often just put, you know, do a tiny bit of a retrace and then carry on pushing on up. So of course, as I said, that's decided to move down, but that's what we want, isn't it? We want it to come back down as far as it can and then carry on up. Because if you look at our 200, our longer moving average, that's still beautifully placed on the 5 minute on that daily. And I can see a little dotted line underneath. So that's going to hold price. So it's just, we want it as far back as we can. And if we look on the 1 minute, oh, and it's just off the 62 moving average. So I'm going to come to HourGlass. So that's 1 minute past 15. So normally I would have taken the trade. I need to look at HourGlass. It's 51 to 50. So actually we've lost a bit of strength, or the Australian dollars, the US dollars gained some. Let's see if it's moved on the bars. We had, so now we've got even Stevens, so it's buys and sells, it's calls and puts, which changes our thinking. We could also look at selling Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. Euro USD looks good as well. I haven't traded that for quite some time. It is the single biggest traded currency pair. It's the only one that's 1-to-1. So we would be selling the euro against the US dollar. So just to do something different, we might have a look at that. But I'm going to come back. Just make a note there about selling. We're going to come back to my HourGlass because we've had a put score of 3 back to that line. It's at 584 price at the moment. That line was at 568, and you can see here it's dropped below, so it's sitting in the middle. It's neither one thing nor the other at the moment, and we know it's lost strength, and the US dollars gained strength, so this could now carry on down. It's done quite a nice move there. But also we've still got our midline pointing up. We've got our green Bollinger Band pointing up. But we have, I think behind there, we've got the red one just arcing round. So it's like a crab sort of pincer. So you can see how price, when it moves, obviously the candles force these elastic bands wider. And then you can see it goes narrower as price sort of rests. And then it decides at certain times, and these are the sessions, that it's going to make another move. So it made that move in London, and now we come into sort of a rest period, and then as you get New York proper, it's reversed what happened in London, which is why it's called the New York reversal. But also it's non-farm payroll week, and we know now that we've got equal bars on those two currencies, and in fact it says it here, 50-50. So that's not always ideal to trade. So I'm back on the 5 minute, and the problem now with trading Australian dollar US dollar, as I said, is it's equal with the US dollar, but it's got the 200 moving average sitting along that daily at the 571. It's got a 15-minute line at 556, and then it's got all these traffic lights down here. So it's got around about that 500 mark. So you can see it's going to bounce off that level, but whether we'll get enough momentum to clear a 3-minute trade is another matter. So if I come down to the 1 minute, because if price wants to carry on down, it'll carry on down. It's just on that 62 moving average. It's right on that daily. So it's going to be sticking there. I'm now at 20 past. Let me see. I wouldn't normally take a trade at 20 past. And I've only got a call score of 1. It says it hasn't quite bottomed out. It's at the 572, 570. So if you are taking these trades, this is on you, or if you're on demo, you can take them without impunity. I think that's the right phrase, because you're practicing and you can then look back and analyze, make notes. I always keep a day book. I have done the whole of my working career. What I trained in was interviewing and making notes and client contracts. So every day I updated that, 6th of the 10th. So here's my other books here. One's a new one for when I finish my old one, and then there's 2 old ones, and I turn the pages down with stuff I want to remember to go back and look at. So here we are. I don't know, I went on the 3 minute. So there's that indecision candle, and it's just breaking through. So it really does want to go down. This is on the 1 minute. So it looks to me like it wants to head down to this 492 area where the 200 moving average is. And we know that from the currency strength meter. And let's look at the hourly candle. And the hourly candle opened as a buy off the 15 minute, but it stalled at the 568 daily. It tried to probe up and it couldn't make any headway. And just as I said that, it's made some headway. It always does that. So anyway, that's why it's struggling around this area. And there's that big long candle as it came out of Tokyo. So that's what's happened in London. Those 3 big buys up, and now it's kind of in transition, isn't it? And the half hour should tell the same story. So the half hour took a 15-minute line there as its upper level below the 200 moving average, and it's come down to that 15-minute at the 555 level. The next half hour struggling at that daily at the 568. So personally, I'd probably want to be looking at puts down to the 500 level, but it's quite difficult to take it in these small areas. And the 15-minute shows us 2 exact little up yours kind of wicks there off that 15-minute in New York, but it's just being held by this level here. But it is a green sell candle, and failure to get back up to that level. Although sometimes with this pair, it's quite a strong pair, it can always want to come up to that 200 moving average, I have found. And here on the 5 minute, the 200 moving average is holding it, but it is trying to break through. So we've only got 555 up to 569, which is only a couple of pips. 1.5 pips. So, I mean, that's quite a lot in binary terms, but it doesn't give us a lot of room to breathe. I'm now at 23 minutes past. And on this is the 1 minute. So this is five candles. We'll make 1 5 minute. Obviously, here's the 20 past. So we've got a sell candle. We've got a tiny push back up through that daily, but it's now clearing on the 1 minute. It's clearing that daily, and it's just stalling at the 15-minute level. So as Les said this morning, if we think we're going to be taking puts, we want to wait for breaks and retests. So you've only got 1.5 pips, which is quite a lot in binary terms, but because they're quite close together, there isn't any rush when you're in the trading. Look here left where it acted as support. So wouldn't it be better to wait for it to do a break and a retest off that 15-minute line? The purple is 15-minute I drew up at the beginning of the session, and then see price carry on down to this level. We'd probably clear the trade in a much easier style. And the 3 minute shows you it's broken that daily, and the 3-minute shows you it's struggling as you would expect at this 15-minute level. So if you do get into a trade outside the quarters and you've marked your 15-minute and your daily, the indicator will give you the hourlies, then you know that's why your trade is going to struggle, and you're better off waiting, because price will always do breaks and retests. It will always flow like a river. It has to find levels of support and resistance, support to move for a call or a buy, resistance, break and retest up to the line of resistance, and then carry on down. So I'm going to go back and look at HourGlass, 25 past. Let's see what HourGlass is telling us. Let me refresh the screen and we'll see if there's a trade at the half past. So it's still 50-50. It's a call score of 1. We don't take those. We like call scores of 3 and above. So here it's oversold and it's come up to do a retest of that green line. So it's still falling. Relative strength index is still above the 50%, which is reflecting the struggle going on between that daily and that 15-minute. And we want that to drop below that 15-minute, that 50% line. So if you look here, like that little one there, and then take your line up, you can see it reflects on the hour how it came down at 12 o'clock UK time. It did a break, but then it did a retest, but it broke through to the upside as it came through lunchtime in London, which is sort of a changeover for the brokers, 12 till 2 UK time. So that's why it's a call score of 2. We've now got our 200 moving average has moved to red at 565. So that's our level that we're looking at, which is here below that daily. And now it's coming down 27 minutes past. So I don't want to take calls. It's 50 to 53, 49 to 53. We can tell it's dropping. We just want to wait for our entry. So now it's 27 minutes past. I would wait for the half hour. I can't get 3 minutes. It's changed to 6 minutes. Sometimes it gives me 2 minutes. It never gives me 3 minutes. And it's at 533 on this broker. It's paying out at 70%. Let me just have a look what AJ, where's AJ? If there's anything. AJ's 86%. I haven't marked that up. And where's Euro USD? I can't even see that. 78% on Euro USD. I don't know why my little stars. I like to star the ones that I trade, but I haven't been trading these others. 5 of them, 1, 2, those are the 5. I don't trade anything else. Those are the 5. And I don't trade Euro and GBP. I don't tend to do GBP, JPY. I know Les does. That's at 78%. So it's back up at 542. I want to see what HourGlass is telling me. The call score has moved to 4 and its price is at 538. It's just breaking that midline here, which is good. Check you're on the correct time frame, 5 minutes. So it's broken off 15-minute line. It'd be nice if it came back up to 555 for us. And I've got that, or even to 568 where the 62 is. You can see that the blue moving average is still supporting it for a call, but it will want to, if we looked back left, you can tell when it's hit that area before and where price wants to come back to. So 29 minutes past, price is at 540. It did touch 555, but I wouldn't ever myself get in before the half past, particularly on this currency pair. Put it back on the 5 minute. And it's broken down now below our 200 moving average as well. So this is our half past at 538. If I did take it, it would be a put for me, not a call. I know that says call score of 5. 49.49, I would not be taking a call personally. I'd like to, so I'll wait for the 35 minutes past to see if it comes back up a little bit. It's still above our 50% line. And, you know, this doesn't make the algorithm wrong. It's just about reading the market and understanding why price. You can see that M shape. And as Warren Wright, one of the top educators, says, M's and W's have bought me BMWs. So that's an M. Shows you that the price wants to come down, and a W obviously would be the opposite way. And you can see all those wicks off that give you, and Les also teaches something called head and shoulders, which show you the patterns as well. So I'm going to look to see what's going to happen at just coming down to that 50% line. See that wick there? That's why it's best to try and wait for a break and a retest. It is a strong currency pair, so Les and I have found that, you know, after 30, 31, 32, 33, you know, you think it's dropping, and then it will do that retrace and then drop. So I've got 566 or 555, and I'm on the 1 minute now, remember? And if I look at where that opened, I just want to check. That's 1.4. That's 2.5 pips away from quarter theory, quarter point, but 1.5, and it'll struggle at that white line. So here we are on the 1 minute. So I'm going to, oh, I think I've got a bad entry on that. No place trades. Oh, that's fortunate. What time am I? 32:15. That's heading right on up. Oh gosh, look at that go off the 15 minute. That surprised me. So that, but it's still red there. So it's come right back up. So what is it testing on the 5 minute? I don't know where it thinks it's going. It's decided to do another. So that's why it's good to wait for the break in the retest, because it's decided to shoot through that daily, and it's off the daily. And although this was like calls and puts, it's above the 62, and it's chosen that. I'm only on the 32nd now, by the way. I better go back to 1 minute just to see why it's come through there so strongly. So it's 639. So this is what Les was saying this morning, that this has been moving a bit strangely yesterday as well. That did surprise me, that it shot all the way up there, and it's come back up to test it once, twice, 3. So it's trying to test it there. So I'm at 33 minutes. I'm still going to look and see what's going to happen at the 35-minute candle. Check the current. So look at the time on your clock. I've got 2 minutes. Just refreshing this. It's still, oh, it's gone strong again. So it's gone 5 bars to 3. So it's now changed its mind. That should be reflected here. So that moved quite fast, 54 to 46. A call at 537. It's come right back up to the top here, up into our overbought area, and the momentum is there on that move there as well. So now it's in a bit of transition, because the moving average, the 200, is still red. It's come off that midline, and it's come right back up here, past these areas. So I was thinking about this for a sell. So that's kind of thrown me off balance, and I don't like to change that quickly, because I've got a red. It's taking its time. I've still got a red. And I'm pretty sure 215 was the US dollar news, because that was set in my time. So that has been and gone. And that's just carrying right on up. So let's look out at the hourly and see what that tells us. So it's decided to, what's it at 644? This is the hourly. It took that 15-minute line as it's open. And the next level for it is 695. And it may be looking at this area here to balance that out. So I think I will just look at JPY. It's looking at that area there, and it's turned green, so it's changed its mind off that midline, but see how much it pushed on through, and that's because these are these strong currency pairs. And that's why we take our time on the trades. So I'm going to look at, at 60 to 61. I'll look at, and just let that refresh. Euro USD is 1 bar to 3. Australian dollars gathered in strength against the Japanese yen. US dollars dropped a little bit, so it's 3 to 5. But I'm going to look at Euro USD. There's not a huge difference. And to be honest, I don't really trade this pair because it's such a major pair. But it's the same principle. Excuse the dog coughing. Oh, and in fact, it's so long since I traded it. Oh yes, I have got the levels on. I've got everything on. Oh, I've hidden that. I think that's because it put too many lines on for me. So we have got a big drop off the 16,1600 on the euro, major level. So just put your same principle, check your Forex factory, put your daily lines on, and then let the indicators do the rest. So that's all around about that area. That was previous, so it's dropped 50 pips. It's probed down nearly 75. So that's nearly 750 million, which isn't a lot in Forex terms, really. 25 pips is 250 million. Let's put that one down there, just where the lowest that it reached. So that gives us our daily. Look at the hourly. What can you see? Oh, I wonder where my pivots have gone on. Must have turned them off on the other one. What can you see happening here? On the hourly, you can see it's reversing. And it's come back up to a quarter point at 500 on the hourly. We are at a 45 minutes going to be our next trade. It comes at 15 minutes. And 15 minutes, if you look here, it's got 6 minutes left to run. So we would like to be thinking about a sell, possibly off that 500 level, unless it decides it's going to come and do something about this little area here. So I'll just, again, same principle, pop on my highest, put that in purple because I'm on the 15 minute. And it is important because your brain learns what you're doing, and then you don't have to consciously think about it. As I said, it's a bit like driving. So just put that on that previous level, and that was the highest it reached, which is similar. But I don't really need to. I'll put it where I'll put the lowest there. I'll do it like that because I've got the quarter theory to tell me. Now down to the 5 minute, which is where we want to trade. Ignore these other lines. I'm only looking at the blue moving average. I'm looking at the quarter theory, quarter point. I'm on the 5 minute. 5 minutes to go before the, and it's, you see how it met that level before? Let me look on the 1 minute. And this, remember, this is a very strong currency pair. It has given me a red pivot level at 5.11, so it can often push on through. So what we're looking at is a trade back to the 500 mark, but it could want to come on all the way up here. So I haven't traded this for a long time, because there's our 200 moving average. And also it's non-farm payroll week. Let's see what HourGlass tells us is happening. And I'm just checking this as well. So it's wicked off that higher level. It's up in our overbought area, but it's still for calls, and it's 53 to 36. Where's Euro USD? There. 23 to 36. A put at 495, which is just below our quarter point. We've got the red 200 moving average. Put score of 6 actually. And we've got 3 minutes to go before the 45. It's come above our midline. It's right up on the Bollinger Bands. It's right up oversold. It's above our 50% line though, so we need it to be turning back down on the relative strength to say that it's fading in our favor. And you can see it just wicking off that level, which was at 518, which is exactly what we had, that level there, and here it is here. So I'm on the 5 minute, and I've got 2 minutes 55 to go. So for a put, the only thing that concerns me is let me see what's happening on the 1 minute. It is slightly in an upward trend, and it will stall out at this 500 level. So we haven't got a huge amount at 521. It's and that's why you get these, they all look like the same size, because it, until it makes its mind up and pushes through, it can stall out on these levels. And the 15 minute took that 15-minute line and has engulfed that previous sell candle, but is wicking back with 2 minutes to go. So this is our 45-minute trade. So in the 15, the 5, and the 1 minute. So that's, you do what you like. I'll probably take a put on that. I'm just gonna, it's a put 3 minutes ago. I'm just gonna be patient, which isn't one of my great virtues. And trading teaches you patience, because if you don't exercise patience, it just slaps you in the face. Put score of 5. 4 minutes ago, it's 1 minute 17, so it's quite tempting to take that. Oh, look, there it's going. I don't know if anyone took that, but I'm trying to be patient and not move before the 45, and there's that wick. So it's retracing a little bit, 487 down to 452, which is our quarter theory. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to see what happens in 40 seconds, because we saw it on the Australian dollar. It moved the other way. This does look very good though. We've got 24 to 41. The red in our favor, the movement there, and this is still above the 50% line, that's all, which is makes it a bit more tricky, but it should come off this Bollinger Band down, giving us put score of 5, 490, because it is right on a key level, which is our 500 quarter point. And I don't know why, it's very annoying. I don't know why it doesn't give me the ability to move the, doesn't give me the settings, but it should be at 500 anyway. for the quarter point. So it's given us a call at 481, which I don't like. I'm not going to do that. Although it's right on that moving average I've got. But I'd rather wait. Oh, and it glitches. It always glitches when it hits that. It's a trading view issue, not me. There's the 500 there. And I always mark my quarter points in orange. So it's just coming down to that 452. So I didn't want to take the call on that because of the currency strength and this major line up here that it's stalled off. So I'm just going to wait. It's just wicked off that level. So sometimes on your hourglass, you know, you just got to learn to read it and think what you're doing. You don't have to snatch at the trades and take every trade. I'm going to come back 24 to 44. It's down at 471. So for me, it was always going to be sells or puts. I was never going to take calls on this one. So no harm done. I'm going to come back to HourGlass, just see what it's doing. So it turned green. It broke through above the midline. It went up to the Bollinger Band. It gave us at the 45 a put score of 3 at 635 and price is at 609. It is still above our midline on the relative strength, but it has made a little move there. And there's that Euro USD moving down nicely. So there was our 35. It just tried to do another push up, which confused me, if you remember. But you can see it's all probe, it's no real orders. Then it's been, took it again. So it's a little green one, took it again as a buy, but then stumbled at the 642 15-minute line. And you've got those pivots there as well. And then at the 45, it's dropping back down to the 573. So there was a trade for the sell on the HourGlass on the 45. And if you look at the 1 minute, there's the 45 off that 15-minute line there. So just did a little 40, where's the 35? There's the 35. It did a sneaky little push up to try and confuse us, but the 15-minute line has held it. 590. It may stumble a bit there before it comes down to the 569. That's where it's heading. So I'm going to finish now. I'm not going to wait for the hour. It is non-farm payroll week. I don't usually trade on, I will do Friday morning. I don't usually like non-farm payroll day myself. That's a nice trade there. I don't know if anyone took any of these. It's coming back. So it's done its break. It's coming back there. Read your levels. It still says green. And you've still got 50 to 46. That's just weakened a bit. So again, you want to be careful of that if you're taking trades against the trend, because the trend is your friend, as we know. So if you are above that black line, that's where you want to be taking calls. But when you see it break through the midline like that, if you look at the bottom, it says the half hour. It's simply because there's still momentum in the currency, and it just takes a little while for it to turn. But that's why we take our trades off these major levels, and it did turn from red to green, but a bit more of a tricky trade to take on that. And looking here, I've got mixed messages. I've got my stochastic in the middle. It's not in the oversold area, and I've got my relative strength hasn't moved down far enough, so it's still in an upward trend, and it's only a put score of 2. It might have been 3. Oh yeah, it was 3 when it started. The numbers decline as it makes the move, obviously, because it's picking up the algorithms. We'll just wait, see. I wouldn't take a trade on the 50, but we'll just see what if it's going to give us a call. It's 50 to 49. So again, it's very similar. It's a call at 563. Call at 563. The problem with that is 570. Is that daily? So again, I wouldn't take it because of where price is for a call against that position there on that daily. So I'm going to finish there today. I'm sorry I haven't taken any trades, but it's just the way it goes. I hope the explanation's been helpful because it's all about patience, and it is dropping that. It's dropping off that 200 moving average as well now. So you just have to read these horizontal lines and pay particular attention to your 200 moving average, because that will help you understand the trend and also look at where price is on that midline between the Bollinger Bands. So if you do want to start to trade with us, you can open a demo account or you can open a real account with just $10. But we do recommend that you do demo trades first to get the confidence to be able to read what you're seeing and then press the button with confidence. You may be then using the broker with rollover. So if you are, we try not to use rollover, but if you are, then you want to be confident to be able to increase your risk 30%. No, you'll get 30% more payout, but be able to press that rollover. And this is what I mean, you know, this Australian dollar's moved a bit strangely this week because it's gone up again, and now it is making that continued move down. But tricky to get the trades right on this one today. Something in the chat just before we go. Oh, it's from Benny. That's nice to see Benny here. Thanks very much for joining. I'm going to stop the recording. And that is all from me. So tomorrow will be me in the Les in the morning and me in the afternoon. Les doing London, me doing New York again. So bye for now.